Okay, we should be recording now. All right, Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to have a conversation with me today. I'm excited to talk with you a little bit more and get to know your life and how everything has been for you. So if you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Well, my name is Michael Feezor, 73 years old, and I grew up in a small community in southeast Missouri. Uh, Fourth child out of seven, middle child and middle son. Uh, my dad was a small time farmer. I don't know how much land he had, but I didn't like working on the field, so that was too much like hard work. But the house I was actually born at home. And the house I was born in, the bedrooms, floors were dirt. It had no floors. And when I was about, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old, we moved down the road into my dad's parents' home. And in the process of moving in, I set fire and burned dad's car.
On accident or on purpose?
It was an accident. Mom had left us in the car. There was my older sister, myself, my younger brother, and my baby sister. And I found a box of matches out of the seat, struck one, and didn't know what to do with it, so I threw it out the window.
Mike.
But, growing up, as a child,
Got in a lot of trouble for that.
I was shocked. I thought I was going to get killed. Nothing was ever said. And many, many years later, Mom and I talked about it, and she felt so guilty for leaving the matches in the car.
Right, because it could have ended very badly, aside from just a burnt car.
Yeah, it could have. But, when we first went into the house, there was 3 boys in one bed and 3 girls in the other bed, because it was only a 2-bedroom house.
And 4 adults, right?
No, 2 adults.
Oh, okay.
Mom and Dad and the 6 kids. Because my oldest sister had passed away before we were born. She died before her first birthday of polio.
Oh my goodness.
So we never knew her. But anyway, most of our playmates were brothers and sisters or cousins who lived just down the road. So we were sort of isolated. The farm was about 10 miles out of a small town.
Okay.
And then when we got to be old enough, we would start working in the fields, picking cotton, chopping cotton, that kind of things, which I didn't like. But I'd always kind of felt a little different, being the middle kid, middle child and middle son, it's kind of like a double whammy.
Yeah.
Because, with 6 kids, there really wasn't a whole time for the parents to spend much time with us except working in the field. And then we started school. Then I went to a small elementary school, had to ride the bus for, I guess, 10 miles. It took about an hour to get to school.
Oh, wow.
Because we had to go up and down all these little gravel and dirt roads to pick up all the other kids. And, everything went along pretty well to about the 7th grade. I had a problem with one of my teachers. Got straight F's on my report cards the first quarter.
Uh-oh.
So when I got home with the report card, I thought my father was going to kill me. No questions what happened, just picked up something and started wailing on my behind.
Oh my gosh.
And then for the rest of the year, it was got a whipping at school, twice more when I got home, every day. And so he passed me through the 7th grade, but that had a huge impact on me.
Yeah. And traumatic.
Yes. And embarrassing and humiliating and all that stuff.
What do you think was causing the issue between you and your teacher? Just didn't get along, or just the subject matter was difficult?
No, I had my head laid down on my desk one day and he accused me of talking. And his punishment was to write word for word the longest chapter in the science book. Well, being a farm kid, you've got chores when you get home. And so when I didn't complete the work, he just piled in more and more and more every day. And it was impossible to do what he requested.
So you just give up?
Yep, what the hell, I just took the beatings. But that impacted my relationship with my dad, because I was scared of the man.
Yeah.
Because every time I turned around, I was getting my butt whooped.
Yeah, and going home to see your family it wasn't exciting and joyful as a kid. It was
traumatic.
You were going home to punishment.
Yep. Every day. And then it seemed like after that, I couldn't do anything right to please the man.
Yeah.
And then, I guess it was about, 10 to 12 years old, someone there, I became aware of sexual feelings. And I didn't have the same feelings that the other boys did. But I had nobody to talk to about it, because we were raised in a very strict religious home,
Right.
and hearing certain talk from there and in the church and whatever, you just felt kind of isolated.
What was the when did you first kind of have that aha moment that, maybe was it when they were talking about girls and it just didn't, you realize that it wasn't how you felt, or was it something that you saw on your own that maybe made you realize that?
Well, you just see the other guys, dating girls and all this kind of stuff. And that just was odd to me. It just didn't. And I didn't date in high school. Of course, I had no money to take anybody on a date, but, I just never dated. The girls just never did it. And then I would start looking at the other boys, and realize the attraction. But what do you do with it? Because I had no idea. I felt like I was the only one in the world.
So isolated.
Yep. Well, and I think that has a lot to do with the community I was raised in, being, isolated 10 miles out of town,
Yeah.
Because even in...
Do you think that other kids knew? Did anybody ever bring it up to you, or did you hide it well?
Well, I always thought that I did, but, when I finally decided to come out to the family, it's like everybody already knew. So I was the only one that was out in the cold.
You thought you were pulling a fast one. No one knew.
Yeah, because I was I'd gone through, after the military, I moved to New Mexico and started my new life. And there, I met some people and started experimenting and stuff, but really didn't have a good handle on it, still trying to hide it. And it wasn't until probably I was 40 years old and went through group therapy before I was able to actually deal with it.
40 years of your life.
Yeah.
Not being comfortable with something so important in our lives.
Yeah. And then when I finally decided to talk to my mother, I made this appointment with her. I went home on vacation. I said, okay, Mom, we're going to go away for the day. And when I finally told her, she just looked at me with a sweet little smile and said, "You'd think I didn't know?"
Moms always know, don't they?
I said, hell no, I didn't think you knew. Why didn't somebody say something?
Yeah, it could have helped me out a little bit.
Yeah. But she was real sweet. She just looked at me and smiled and said, and if you think that makes any difference to me, you're wrong.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So really for the first time in your life, like you had a taste of acceptance.
Yeah, because I had to get to that point where I was ready to walk away from the family if it went bad. And I was totally prepared to do it.
You were finally comfortable and accepting of your own self. So if somebody else isn't going to accept that, then you don't need them.
Well, yeah, and then the kids in the family, it's like, okay, big deal. You know, moving on.
They were like, old news, Mike.
Oh, yeah. It's like, we knew.
You mentioned being in the military. How did those two things balance?
Oh, honey, let me tell you. The home I was raised in was a very, very modest household. You never saw anybody in their underwear, you know, other than fully dressed. And here I go for my induction into the military, and I'm standing in a room full of 50 guys stark naked. And I, oh my God.
It sounds a bit like it could have been a fantasy.
Well, it could have been, but you know, the biggest fear was getting an erection and full of that room full of guys.
That could have given a few things away.
Yeah, and then, you know, the way I was raised, you know, when I left for the military, I was dumb as a box of rocks. I knew nothing about life. I knew nothing about sex, you know, nothing. And so the military was a very eye-opening situation for me.
As it is for many people. 18
Yeah.
years old and your whole life changes, and now you're waking up at a certain time, you're full of, you know, responsibilities, you don't get away with anything. I mean, that's a complete life adjustment.
Well, yeah, on basic training, we had these big old strong dudes as drill instructors, and here I'm a scrawny little kid of 120 pounds trying to keep up, and the pack we had to wear and the weapons we had to carry, you know, they weighed more than I did. But I made it through.
Did anybody ever question you or wonder? Because I'm sure there are opportunities where you were either stationed at a base. What branch of the military was it? Is it Army?
Army.
Army. Were there times when the other guys would go and meet girls on different bases and stuff like that? And did it raise any red flags, or did you think that nobody really knew there either?
Well, when I went after basic, I was transferred for advanced training to Fort Devens, Massachusetts. And while there, I did a stupid thing and got married.
To who?
So this girl I went to school with back in Missouri.
In Massachusetts?
No, well, I tried to travel home to get married.
Oh.
And then once I got her home, of course, you know, not being terribly experienced, you know, I had no idea what to do with the woman when I got her home. So, I mean, it didn't last long. She hung around for 6 weeks, packed up, and left.
What was the reason why she was like, no?
Well, it turned out the main reason is because we didn't have sex. Hell, I didn't know.
Yeah, she didn't need a friend.
No, she was wanting something else. So we
Understandably
stayed
so.
married for about 2 years until I could get a divorce.
Wow. Did you guys remain friends after that?
Oh, no. We didn't speak. You know, we were done.
How impactful was that on your decision to maybe take control of your sex life?
Oh, hell, it took some long time after that until, you know, anything happened. And then it was just kind of, you know, hit and miss thing. If it happened, it happened. If it didn't, it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I didn't know anything about picking up guys or flirting with guys or anything like that.
And I mean, what year would this, you know, how long ago was this? Because the times, you know, I'm 28 and I've seen a lot of growth for the community. I mean, I remember when biracial marriage wasn't really a thing and gay marriage wasn't a thing. I still remember those times. I remember a lot of oppression on the community, but with this being so long ago, I mean, I'm sure that picking up a guy at a bar would, I mean, that's like, you got to have a lot of guts to do something like that, because it's just not normal.
Well, see, and I've never picked anybody up. It's like if somebody coming on to me.
Yeah.
You know, I was too afraid to go approach somebody and do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's challenging. When throughout your life, you know, what, because you had to face so much adversity and oppression, and were kind of isolated for a very big chunk of your life, you know, what was the main things that made you feel unsafe, or did you ever feel unsafe, like in around certain people or in certain environments?
Well, that came with time, you know, because growing up, I'd always been kind of shy and quiet and kept to myself. And, you know, being the middle child, you didn't get much attention. So I did spend a lot of time alone. I would just walk away from the family. There were too many people in a small house.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, after I started working for the government, you know, I started meeting more people and becoming more social. You know, it was a long time thing.
Yeah.
And
So
then,
so large social settings or in a room full of many people probably didn't feel very comfortable or safe. You kind of
no,
wanted to escape.
yeah, a lot of times I did, but then the longer I worked with some of these people, you know, the more I felt comfortable being around them. You know, it's more like having an extended family.
Right. And larger companies, like when you worked for the government, you're going to have people from all different flavors, not just a small town in Missouri where everyone talks the same, wears the same stuff.
Yeah. Well, and then while I was working, I met this, you know, I worked with, along with the military. And, oh, shit. And I met this sergeant, you know, and he got real friendly, you know, and we kind of experimented a few times, you know, but he was more of a teacher and a friend than anything.
Kind of like a
And
mentor.
well, yeah, and then through him, I met my friend Alan. And Alan was my good buddy. You know, we'd go to lunch all the time, took vacation together, you know, and fooled around a bit, you know, and he and I would go to clubs, you know, and we were both too shy to do much about it, but it was fun. You know, we had a good time.
And you got to experience and be exposed to maybe other people that weren't shy about it. I'm sure there was many people at the clubs that were living it up.
Yeah, you know, and we did go out, you know, I went out and danced, had a great time, you know, but never expected to pick anybody up. But as long as Alan and I were together, you know, I felt safe.
Of
Because
course.
he was a little more experienced than I was. And then we took my first trip to California, and that was where I was exposed to the gay community. Went to San Francisco the first time, and went, oh my God. Because going to the gay section of San Francisco, that was truly an eye-opening experience. But I have to say it was the place I felt the most comfortable in a long time.
Because you were around people you could be yourself around
Yeah, exactly.
for the first time.
Yeah. You know, I could be silly and stupid and, you know, just have a good time and nobody judged.
Yeah. Do you feel like, you know, over the past 15, 20 years that the LGBTQ community has been doing the right things, and what are you proud of most that's happened, and what are some things that you would like to see continue to evolve?
One of the biggest things in this country I'd like to see happen is that people are accepted for who they are, period. Because why shouldn't gays have the same rights as anybody else does? You know, to get married, to have children, to do, you know, and be totally open about it. But in this area of the country, you know, you cannot be that way because there are too many people that, you know, have these opinions about gay people.
Because you're still in Missouri.
No,
correct?
I'm in Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yeah. But, it's the heart of the Bible Belt.
So are
And
you feeling like you've almost taken a step back from all the progress that the environments that you were in, and now do you feel like you're kind of oppressed again, going to the grocery store or being out in big social places?
now I have learned just to try to be me. People either like me or they don't. And that's totally up to them. I don't care. Because I have reconnected with some friends, and the main reason I moved back to this part of the country was to be around family. I've been away from my family for 40 years. And a lot had to do with my sexuality because I didn't think I would be accepted. But once that's no longer an issue, and we're not getting any older. My older brother is like 77 now, and my older sister's 75. And I'd missed out on a lot of years, so it was time to reconnect.
And like I said, you are around people that accept you and love you for exactly who you are.
Yeah. And then I was home on vacation, and I'd been with my sister Sally to the lake. And on the way home, we were talking, and I mentioned I was thinking of moving home. Well, my brother-in-law popped up and said, I can fix you a place to live.
Just and like that.
That was it. Just right clear out of his mouth. And so I gave him the money. He built me an apartment. And we've lived, on the same property for the past 10 years. And I know Charlie, has certain issues, but, it's never been a big deal. We just don't go there.
Yeah. Is there anything, as we're kind of wrapping this up, which I want to say thank you for, there's some stuff there's many things I didn't even know, even though you and I have had a couple heart-to-hearts. So I appreciate you being so open and filling me in on kind of your journey. Is there anything that, in me interviewing that you kind of wanted to say to people like me who are learning about this community that's a little bit different than anything I'm a part of?
Well, I think people just need to be open-minded and more accepting. Because everybody out there has a different walk in life. And who am I to judge on things that you do, on things that other people in this world do? I mean, I'm no different than anybody else. I just have a different, way of sexually dealing with it.
I agree.
But I have no secrets from you at all.
And I love that. And I love our friendship.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay, Mike. Well, I really appreciate your time. I couldn't have asked for a better person to talk with on this subject. So again, I'm just really grateful that you took the time to do this with me today.
Anything you need, sweetie.
All right. I'm going to stop the recording and then I'm going to chat with you for a second before I let you go, okay?
Okay.
Well, I'm trying to stop the recording, but it's not letting me. Mike, let me let you go. Let me try to hang up here instead because it's not letting me stop the recording. So.
Okay.
I love you.
I love you too. You take care.
Okay. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's see.
You should be able just to hang up